Man, there are way more than two, but for time's sake, I'm going to share with you my two biggest mistakes. And if you can avoid these two mistakes, it will make a huge difference, save you, but for sure hundreds, maybe even thousands, maybe tens of thousands. For me, probably millions. These two mistakes cost me literally millions of dollars. So you got to avoid them. I'm going to jump right in and share with you the two mistakes. So number one, in no particular order, they're both gigantic. Number one is this. Okay, and by the way, if you're watching the replay or live, please let me know that you were here. Hi, Marie. Great to have you here. Jumped on early. All right, so number one. When I was in my 20s, I thought being 25 would never come, and I thought 30 would never come, and I thought, man, 35 is so old. Man, 40, oh my gosh, you are like ancient. And then 45, you're it's never going to come around. But being 47 now, I realize my biggest mistake is not setting aside minimum 40% of every dime I ever made in building teams, period. Can you imagine? Like right now, I would probably be worth, for sure, tens of millions of dollars, especially if I would have invested that into the proper investments and let that money compound in my 20s, 30s, and obviously now coming into my 50s here soon. So that's the biggest thing. And part of that is not overspending and not overspending in the wrong things like expensive cars, expensive houses. As we started getting multiple six figures, we would always, if we made 50 grand a month, we would spend 50 grand and 500. And I know that sounds crazy, but when you have a poverty mindset or generations of overspending, that's a big thing. Number two is a gigantic one. And I'm going to tell you a story about number two because it ties in. So number two is when I was making about $30,000 a month in a legal shield or prepaid legal at the time company. We had one of the fastest growing teams in the entire company. Company's been around for over 25 years at that time. And we were just smoking. What we were doing is we were driving people to presentations and then plugging them into training events that would help them learn how to do this business the right way. And I was being mentored by a woman named Sherry Sharman, who was a millionaire, made millions of dollars in this industry, and she promoted from event to event to event to event. And I'm kind of a rebel, stubborn, prideful, call it what you want, but very stubborn. And I thought my way was better, and I thought because the internet was starting to get really big, and even before social media, I'm thinking everybody's gonna get rich being at home. Hey Julie, everybody's gonna get rich being at home and get rich on the internet. We could make money in our shorts, we can live the home business lifestyle, right? That's what a lot of the marketers were starting to say, like abandon the warm market, you don't have to bug family and friends, you don't have to do home parties anymore. And people were saying this about 15 plus years ago, by the way. You don't have to go to training presentations, you don't have to do hotel meetings. And I didn't just bite the hook, I swallowed it and digested it, meaning I told Sherry that I'm done doing live training events. The future is the internet. People can get trained now through video. People can get trained now through live streaming and live webinars and conference calling and digital stuff. When it was starting to get really big, I'm thinking, why would I want to go to a meeting when I can get the same presentation or the same words from a same person and not have to go spend money to travel across the country, get on an airplane? Doesn't that just make sense? It does, until you understand the dynamic of people and what it really takes to duplicate and how to build a huge team, even in the year 2020 or 21 or probably 22 and beyond. Is that the biggest mistake that I made? Now, let me just tell you what happened. I went from $30,000 a month to that was the company just before I had my cars repossessed, my income tanked. My income went from like $30,000 a month down to $7,000 a month, and then even lower. And because, again, I always had a high lifestyle financially, I went broke. I went totally broke. And many of you have heard the story where I had my cars repossessed. My daughter, my 4-year-old baby girl, was saying, "Daddy, where are they taking our cars?" We had no money for food, Christmas, no food for Christmas. We didn't know where we were going to live, and we were scared. We were scared. And I said, at that moment, when my daughter said, "Daddy, where are they taking our car?" I said, that's it. I have learned my lesson, and I'm not only going to get back into home-based business, I'm going to get focused on doing one thing extremely well. connecting with people, sharing presentations, and getting them started, period. And I'm going to teach my team how to do the same thing. And when it breaks down, and when the simplest form of duplication breaks down, and let me just tell you something. Let me give you a strong statistic that I know is true. I don't care. Any leader that's making 7 figures understands this, whether they want to admit it or not. That most people, probably well over 80% of everybody that you teach the simplest form of connecting with someone, sharing a message, and enrolling, most people are going to have a tough time with that. They're not going to, when they first join you in business, it's not going to work perfectly every time the way that they think it's going to work, because even though it's so simple, and even though we're the easiest business model in the world, because we deal with people, nothing in this entire world, when you're dealing with people and you're trying to get one person to do this when they rather go bowling, or when they rather live in fear, or when they rather stay in their comfort zone, or when they rather drink a 6-pack, or when they rather watch the Bears game, or when they rather watch a sporting event, or when they rather just whatever, I don't know, a million things, right? We're people. It's like hurting. It's like getting someone to do something sometimes takes a little bit of strategic knowledge over time. And it takes the right kind of understanding of how to work that simple process. So when that breaks down, I have learned that webinars and conference calls and training events like this, live Zooming here in my car at my daughter's volleyball game, is powerful. But I'm telling you this, there's nothing more powerful. From 27 years of experience now of building teams of over 40,000 people, sponsoring up to 500 personally enrolled in a year, 300 the next year, and even currently right now, sponsoring every single day consistently. I know the heartbeat of what's working. I know the heartbeat of what's smoke and mirrors. And I'm telling you, if you want to duplicate human beings, you need to get your butt to a training event that's going to breathe life, a training event that's going to teach strategic knowledge, a training event with the not just product training, not just company compensation training, not just training where you're going to just have fun only, a very strategic training event when you get around like-minded people. Iron sharpens iron. So when you're around people that get their butt out of their house, get away from their laundry for a day or two, get away from their spouse for a couple days, their kids, their distractions, their dogs, their pets, their laundry, their dishes, their comfort zone. Look, your home, for most of people on your team, and including you, is your comfort zone. It's your haven. And if you're a normal human that's trying to break free from the mediocrity, maybe trying to break free from some poverty mindset, trying to break free from over communication, trying to break free from some fear, it's hard to do it completely 100%, always trying to do it in your home, even though you're getting good training right now. Even while I'm doing this training, I bet most of you are already flipping around on Instagram. Some of you are popping through, so you're already off looking at doing dishes right now, which again, I'm a multitasker too. And it's okay, I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but what I am trying to say is sometimes you got to get your tushy out of the house. And if there's one thing to invest in, it's invest in yourself. Every multi-billionaire and millionaire says the number one way to put money, if you don't have a lot of it, or if you don't have hardly any of it, is to take that seed, that money that you've earned, or even credit card. And yes, I'm going to say it. Forget Dave Ramsey here. The number one thing to invest in to get more money, to get out of debt, to grow yourself, is to get out of your comfort zone and come to an event. That's it. And I've learned my lesson of not doing it and then doing it. And when I decide to plug back into an event of training with my team on a consistent monthly or every few month basis, is when I grew my team to 40,000 people, and I had the most freedom, the most leverage that I ever had, because I didn't do all the pieces. I just plugged people into a system. World Changers event is coming up in Dallas, Texas. If you even have any inclination that you want to come, I will find a way for you to get there. All you have to do right now is just say me. If you want to grow, say me. If you want to change your life, say me. If you know you're in a comfort zone, even 20% in a comfort zone, put me. If you are living with if you're not in complete boldness and you're still living in a little bit of fear, put me below. Seriously, take action and just type in me. If you know that you should come to an event, put me, and I'm going to get some information to you. I'm gonna reach out to you personally and ask you some questions. And again, I'm going to do it personally. Maybe even Kim will do it. But we're going to boost this out to every single person in our fan base, which is a few thousand people right now, 20, 30,000 people. And we're going to share it. We're going to share this out. Share this message with your team. And if it's not my event you're coming to, where's an event with people that have made 7 figures, not up and comers, people that have made 7 figures, people that know how to build a business. They know the heartbeat of what's working in the trenches. You want to plug people into that kind of event that really know how to grow a business in today's market, not 20, 30 years ago like I did, but people like myself that are still recruiting, duplicating, growing in the trenches of finding what's really working. So if you know that's you, put me. And so the key again, for those of you wrapping up, number 1 mistake I've ever made is I overspent and I didn't invest into assets. Number 2 is not plugging. There was a time where I stopped plugging into live events because I wanted to be at home and I just trained my team over the phone, through the internet. That was my biggest mistake, is not continuously plugging people into live events, period. Okay? And again, if I knew I could stay at home and I knew I can transform lives, I would do it. If I knew that the number 1 way for you to get out of whatever junk in the trunk you need to grow from would be 100% from your home, and if there was a training way to do it, or a psychology of a video, or a process, or a course, or an accountability, I've done it all. I've tried everything to motivate and lead and transform lives 100% digitally for years. I love doing that, but I want to change the world. That's why we have World Changers. To change the world, you gotta be like-minded, locking arms, shoulder to shoulder, crying, laughing, fun, learning, growing, stretching, networking, and all the above. It cuts off 6 months to a year of your learning curve. If you know you have someone on your team that's stuck, share this message right now. Whether they come to an event, just share this message. If you want to duplicate, you got to learn to promote. You got to learn to share. You got to learn to duplicate. And preferably, you don't want to have to regurgitate messages like this. Just share the messages. Good to see you, Julie. Marie, thank you so much for the love. If you're watching the replay of this or live, please let me know that you stopped by. And if you haven't said me yet, why? Okay, I love you. We're going to change the world together, World Changers. God bless you, and I'll see you in Dallas. By the way, if you want to get more info on Dallas, if someone would type in Priority Networker, PriorityNetworker.com, PriorityNetworker.com. Just click the events button, but I'll show you how to get a ticket if you need it just by putting me, okay? All right, God bless you. See you in the next video. Or we'll see you in Dallas, right? We're going to see you in Dallas with this eye or this side. All right, God bless.